here's my request. Listen for some of the things that he prays for. First of all, he prays for their protection. Father, protect them in your name that you have given me, so that they may be one even as we are one. A little bit later, he prays this. I ask you to protect them from the evil one. Or as Eugene Peterson says in the Message, he puts it this way. Protect, he uses as guard them. That might be a helpful way of thinking of that. It's not just protect. Gary's angel with a flaming sword. You know, the guy that's bigger than Arnold. Don't be back. But guarding them. Keeping an arm around them, not letting anyone near. Okay? Jesus is praying for his disciples' protections. Why? Because he knows that he's leaving. He's going back to the Father. He knows that they're in a vulnerable place. And he says, and I'm not going to leave you alone. I'm going to make sure that you're covered. I'm going to make sure that you can do the work that you've been assigned, and whether that takes angels with a flaming sword or merely my loving arms protecting and saying, get away. You have no place here. You've got it. And now notice this. When we pray, often we say, God, take me out of this situation. God, my friend is being so hurtful. Just take me out of it. Remove it. But you notice what Jesus prays for? He says, I'm not praying that you take the disciples out of the world. That'd be an easy way to protect them, wouldn't it? Take them up with him. But instead, he goes the difficult route and he says, no, I'm not praying that you take them out of the world. What I'm praying is you just keep them safe from the evil one. Keep the evil one at bay. He's going to want to touch them. He's going to want to hurt them. He's going to want to manipulate them. Don't let it happen. You're being prayed for. You're being protected. You're being cared for. You're being guarded by God's Spirit because of Jesus' prayer. Second thing that he prays for is that they would be sanctified, that they would be made holy. Listen to some of his words. He says to be made holy is to be set apart. Sanctify them, Father. Make them one with us. When someone is sanctified, it isn't just because they've been just a great person. You may look at them and say, yeah, they are a great person. They're a holy person. They're a godly person. They are sanctified. The people are sanctified in order that they might do the work that God sets them apart to do. In other words, it's the in-service training that he's giving them. They are now his apprentice. They're his disciples. So he says, I'm going to set you apart. That's what sanctification is. He's going to set us apart, make us holy, set apart. So that we can do the things that God would have us to do. Now, sometimes we get confused in that. Sometimes we say, well, God set me apart. Look at what a wonderful person I am. We think we're set apart for honor and glory, and to some extent we are. But mostly we're set apart so that we are the tools, we are the instruments, we are the hammers and the chisels and the saws and the screwdrivers that it takes in order to build a country of people who give honor and glory and love to God. We have a job to do. And God says, I'm going to train you for that. So anytime that you hear God's voice saying, I want you to do this, don't come back and say, well, God, I'm not qualified. I don't have the skills. I don't have the tools in order to do that, because God's going to come right back and say, yeah, I know. I'm going to give those to you. Need a new prayer life? Here you go. Need a new devotional life? Here you go. Need a new worship life? Here you go. I'm going to change that. And don't be surprised if that changes from time to time, even within your lifespan. God gives us his sanctification so that we're ready. And thirdly, you notice Jesus prays for their unity. We like unity. Most of us don't like conflict. Some of us start conflict, but we don't like it when it comes our way, do we? We just want everybody happy. We want the Rodney King experience, right? Can't we just all get along? And so we advocate for things like tolerance, which means I'll just ignore what you're doing. I'll just ignore how you're doing it. I'll just ignore what you believe and just go on my merry way. I'll tolerate you. Not terribly exciting, is it? Or welcoming. Or loving. When you walk into somebody's house after you've been invited, let's say yesterday, when you got invited to my house, would you like it if when you got there, I say, oh, yeah, it's nice you're here. Go ahead, whatever you want to do. No, I'm not going to pay attention to you. No, there's nothing here for you. No, I'm not going to be very welcoming, but it's okay that you're here. Would you feel welcome? Would you feel like you want to come back? And yet somehow in our culture, we've elevated that to be one of these supreme values. Tolerance is not a supreme value. It's reaching for the lowest common denominator. And as the people of God, we're commanded to raise things to a higher level. To be one with Jesus, even as he is one with the Father. So, of course, that means that we've all got to think alike. We've all got to act alike. Probably should all dress alike. Look alike. No. Much like a baseball team, you don't have every player on that team covering first base. That's all very well and good until somebody hits it to left field. Right? Or if every team is made up of all quarterbacks, and they step back in the zone and they pass, who's going to catch it? Who's going to block? Who's even going to come their way? And who would go? You see, God gives us different gifts, different talents. But he wants us to use them together for the glory of God and for the building of his kingdom. In other words, he wants us to work together as God's team. Each one doing their own part. And that's what it means to be united with Christ. Utilizing the gifts that God has given for his glory, for his honor. So that we're not all off singing our own song. But we're listening for God's direction and singing his. We're working together. Jesus said, I want them to be one with me just as I am one with you. Saw a cute cartoon that kind of brought this to light. How many of you like Charlie Brown cartoons? Yeah, Linus, this one's for you. Linus and Lucy are together watching TV. Linus is busy watching the program he wants to watch. Lucy comes into the room. Now, y'all know who I'm talking about, right? Lucy's that very affable and agreeable character. Okay, you do all know who I'm talking about then. So Lucy comes in and she says to Linus, I don't like that program. I want you to change the channel. Linus says, no, I've been watching this program. I want to finish